that is something that we asked him about. And he did say that ABA for the most part was useless and kind of torture. And he's used the words humiliating and demeaning in relationship to that and other services. He has said that he knows most languages, and he said except Russian, which he said was simply because he hasn't been exposed to it since he was 6 or 7 years old. He would change the language on my phone. He would change the language on the TV, not just like the captions, or the audio. He would change the language of the TV. So we didn't know how to change the TV back to English. For his birthday and Christmas this last year, we said, what do you want for your birthday and Christmas? And he said, I want Bibles in ancient languages. And specifically named Aramaic, Latin, and Greek. He talks a lot like as a collective, like I can see into other realms as many autistics can. Like, I'm like, how do you know? You haven't talked to any other autistics, unless you have been able to read their minds, right? So even before telepathy tapes, he made references to things. He has said that he can remote view, and he said that a year and a half ago, and didn't really know what remote viewing was. So I asked him about 6 months ago to define remote viewing, not necessarily in relationship to him. I was just like, define remote viewing. And he said it's being able to see everything that somebody else sees, thinks, and feels. So then we asked him, who can you do that with? He said, Dad, and then wouldn't go any further. So then with his practitioner, we said, okay, so who can you do this with? And he said, anybody that I am emotionally close to, and distance doesn't matter. And so then we also asked, is there anything we should be concerned about? If you're remote viewing with myself or Dad or, somebody else, is like what we're doing, what we're watching, what we're reading, what conversations that we're having, like, should we be worried about that? And he said, no. He said, I respect people's privacy. I usually only do it when I need to understand a situation, which I thought was interesting. So it's like, okay, so he can turn it on and off as well. Mm-hmm. So then one of his friends was asked, because they had spent an afternoon together, and at one point everybody's in the room, parents and our 2 boys together. And, then it got to a point where, his friend went into one room and Trevor was in the family room, and they're doing different things, and said, they had asked his friend, what's up with that? He's like, oh, we don't need to be in the same room or even in the same location to be communicating. He said, communicating on the boards is nice, but he's like, that's not how we really communicate.
Yeah. They don't need that.
Which is fine, because they've had conversations, but I've now noticed like their conversations are actually very, like, what I'm going to now say are practiced.
Yeah.
It's like, they'll be like, hey, it's good to see you again.
Yes. Yes, that's what I'm seeing. It's like,
what are you?
Hi, how are you today? It's like a letter. Yeah.
It's almost like ABA, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.